Going live.
Hey, what is up, guys? Happy Thursday to you.
Happy Thursday.
Yeah, Levi and Ryan here, bringing you some awesome and exciting information. Got a lot to talk about today, so hopefully you guys have a second to tune in and listen to a little bit of the info we're going to bring you today, because me and Ryan are a little bit concerned.
A little bit
concerned. So,
a little bit.
We want to share
Tiny bit.
Share some wisdom.
Yeah.
And hopefully illuminate some misconceptions and and talk about the market. Lots of different stuff.
True.
So it's going to be exciting. So let's jump in.
Let's jump in because we've got a lot to talk about, like Levi said. And obviously the first thing that probably needs to be addressed is the fact that I'm sure all of you have heard by now. You've probably seen tons of videos and other lenders and people talking about it. But is it true that I can get 0% interest rate when I go buy a house, Levi? And can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, I swear, man. So if you guys didn't know, the Federal Reserve reduced their base rate over the weekend, cut it in a big way, and with that, hopefully alleviate a little bit of the stress that's going on in the financial markets, open up a little bit more liquidity, but also created a little bit of misconception too. Man, I want to say Monday, I had 1,000,001 people reaching out.
I'm ready to text messages did you get there?
I'm ready to refinance now that my interest rate's going to be 0%. No, that is not what happened at all.
So that's not the case?
No.
Okay.
Matter of fact, actually, we've seen, the market has been extremely volatile. Every single day is literally a new adventure with interest rates, but we've seen rates by and large actually go up since earlier in the month. And the Federal Reserve rate, the interesting thing about that to know, and kind of one of the misconceptions is that there's not a direct correlation with mortgage rates. There are indirect correlations, there can be, and with market movement and fluctuation, things like that drive up and down interest rates, but there's not a direct correlation. So if the Federal Reserve rate changes up or down, that has a major impact on consumer lending, credit card rates, home equity lines of credit, car loans, things like this. All those things will change and fluctuate based on that reserve rate. So, it's definitely interesting.
So definitely, y'all need to settle down. That's the title of today, because you're not getting 0% interest rate.
I wish you were
on a loan. Me
I
too.
wish you were.
I'd be refinancing.
I'd be calling every single person. With that said, rates are still historically low. There have been a ton of changes this last month, majorly, where we have seen just massive, really high peaks, really low valleys, and like I kind of said before, it's been super volatile. It's pretty common this last couple of weeks to see in a single day where we could have an 1/8 of a point to a 1/4 of a point difference in pricing just throughout the day, the course of a day. So it's been very, very volatile. So we just have to set expectations correctly with folks, let them know what's going on, and see the opportunities for clients, whether they're purchasing or refinancing, work together with our clients to find the opportunities and get things to where it makes sense for everybody. So
Gotcha. So that kind of explains that. That's good. That's good. So if any of you guys have questions more about that, obviously you can reach out to Levi and he can talk to you about that. But
happy to help.
Now we can kind of shift and move into kind of what everybody's asking tons of questions about. For those of you that don't know, I did a video last night kind of explaining some of this stuff, but we want to go more in depth because I got a lot of feedback from it. So I was doing a lot of talking about being prepared, not scared, right, during this time, and how we believe that, yes, we're in this time of kind of uncertainty and things going on, but now is going to be the time that determines who kind of sets themselves apart from the rest. And with that, I actually was just listening to a different podcast, shout out to Tom Ferry and Steve Harvey, and they were talking about some certain things in the current market conditions compared to like other recessions and things that we've had before. And I want to make one thing clear, because I think, we've been hearing a lot about this lately.
Yeah.
And when people hear the word recession, they get freaked out, right? They think about 2008, 2009, right? The housing crash and crisis there. I want to be clear that we're not in that, right? We're not going to be going through anything such as that. And, I've heard some people kind of revert back to that and say that as an example. And it's no, this is different, obviously. This is dealing with a virus and a health concern, and it's not dealing with the housing market or the lending mortgage industry. In fact, our market is pretty stable here in Omaha still. The lending mortgage side of things is pretty stable. So I think there's still a lot of people out there buying and selling homes, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of the meter that we're going off of to kind of look at as far as, it's different, but it's kind of the same. It's the same in the sense that there's uncertainty, right? You don't know how long is this going to last? What's it going to look like when it is done? But I want to give you guys this perspective that I heard on that podcast earlier, and I was that's a great illustration. I'm going to start using it because it makes sense for everyone.
Yes, especially us here in Nebraska.
Yes. So let's think about this for a second. Think about a snowstorm, right? What does everybody do when we start preparing here in Nebraska when there's this huge blizzard that's coming, right? Everyone storms to Costco and all the grocery stores, and they store up all this food, and they go get all these things.
Snowstorm snacks.
Yes. Right? And the same kind of thing happened with this, right? We saw a shortage of toilet paper, which I still don't know why. But then we saw shortages of bottled water and things, and milk and different things like that. So we saw kind of the same scenario taking place. And now as we're in it and we're looking through it, we're literally in the blizzard right now. We're in the snowstorm. But what happens every single spring and every single year and every single time the snowstorm eventually goes away, right? So the ice melts, the snow melts, and we eventually go back into normalcy, right? And we get back out on the roads, and the same thing is going to happen with what's going on right now. So I want to reassure you guys, I know a lot of people out there are really concerned and uncertain in these times, and yes, there is some things going on and people are getting the virus and whatever the case is, but I want to reassure you that there's going to be good things coming.
Yep.
Right? We're going to get through this together, and it might be a little challenging, it might be some sadness, it might be some depression, some dark times, obviously, but I think as we start getting and moving forward and getting ahead of this thing, that's when we're going to really start seeing the market kind of take off and the economy get back to normalcy. And that's why I think it's going to be a faster recovery compared to, all these other recessions that everybody's was freaking out with and comparing it to years past.
Right.
So
yeah, that's good. I mean, that's a really good point. It's not, the housing market, and of course, a lot of this is, our perspective, everything that we're seeing. But the housing market, you can't really compare that to the 2008 crash. For sure, there are some correlations and similarities, but, we're not talking about subprime mortgages and negative amortization loans and things like that, and high foreclosure rates, just due to issues with how loans are structured, and a big bubble in that way. We're talking about, an unforeseen virus where, some folks might get laid off or have some interruptions with their employment, but it's not something that's directly correlated to real estate in that sense. So yes, there will be things that are affected, of course. I mean, a lot of us are seeing some of that stuff already. Go out to any restaurant in town, it's going to be tough to get a seat at your favorite restaurant. Most of them are going to be closed. You have to do the drive-through window. So just kind of strange changes, that shake things up a little bit. But that's where, back to Ryan's point, we can compare it to any other blizzard or snowstorm that we go through, where eventually that will kind of subside, that snow will melt, the ice will melt, and, we'll get back to a normal place. We don't know how much snow we'll get or how long that'll take, right?
Right.
But like he said, we're in it together. There's still a lot of opportunity in this market. I was watching your video last night. You talked about that. So I think that's a good thing to kind of touch on today as well. I've been getting, even today, working with some of my first-time home buyers and folks who are still looking to purchase and very excited about that. Hey, is it a good time? Should I hold off? What do you think I should do? That's a tough question to answer because I think it's really individualistic. I can't ever give my personal opinion and say, hey, this is what you should or shouldn't do. But my feeling is, and my thought is that once we get through this storm a little bit, we're in the mix of it now. So you will see some folks who, the nervous Nellies of the world and stuff, and they'll say, hey, maybe I wait a couple months, 2, 3, 4, 5 months, 6 months or whatever, renew the lease that I have instead of going out and looking to purchase that house. So we'll definitely see some of that for sure. But with that, people exiting the market, there's gonna be a little bit of a vacuum. We're gonna see more opportunity open up for folks who are still in the market, people who are still looking for their first house or their move-up house or whatever that is. Maybe a little bit more inventory, hopefully, a little less competition, hopefully. So I think that's a really good sign for the market, and hopefully that'll even potentially stabilize a little bit of the seller's market that we're in. So that's really a silver lining there, guys. We may also see some folks who, they are on the verge of selling their house or moving to that townhouse or, that retirement facility or whatever, where this might expedite their plans. Maybe they want to unburden themselves from their mortgage, so that's going to create an opportunity. They're going to sell that house, and then that'll open up more inventory for folks as well. So I think we're going to see a little bit of both.
Yeah, and I think, another thing for you guys to think about, as this storm weathers out, I've had a lot of people asking me, well, what do you think that's going to do to businesses, and especially the restaurants, bars, entertainment, all those kind of things, are they going to be impacted? Well, of course they're going to be impacted. We all know that, right? Because, however long this takes, whether it's 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4, 6, 8, the longer they have those doors closed, the more difficult it's going to be, right? But I can say this, and I was telling Levi this, I said, if you got a whole bunch of people that are quarantined for a long period of time, what are they going to want to do once that's lifted off and we're free to go back out, right? I think all of us are going to go out and support our favorite restaurants, our favorite shopping areas and things like that, and we're going to go back out into society. And honestly, I think we're going to see a boom then with a lot of those things. Now, the question will be how long some of those businesses, restaurants, stores can prolong this and stay intact. Yeah. And then once that is lifted, I truly believe this is what's going to happen. And I could be completely wrong, but I think that most couples, most people are going to sit there and be like, hey, we can finally go back out now. Let's go out to eat at our favorite place and let's go support them. Yeah. That's just the way I think that everybody's going to be thinking. And once those doors open back up again, I think we're going to run into a different problem. I think the problem that we're going to run into, and I've been saying this, is that a lot of these businesses that are taking this time right now to plan and prepare for the coming and the future of this being lifted off and the virus leveling itself out, as they say. I think those that are preparing for that right now are going to be the ones that are going to set themselves up for the future. And what I mean by that is when they've got 50 people calling to set up an appointment or a reservation to go eat at their favorite place, they're going to be overflowing and flooded with phone calls, right, because of those people. And so I think that next problem will be you won't be able to go get a seat at your favorite restaurant for a couple of days, which is great. And that's why I think our economy and our communities are going to bounce back a lot faster than what we've seen, say, compared to 2008, 2009. So again, the difference is this isn't some housing crisis, mortgage crisis that we're dealing with and a recession, right, as it relates to that, but it's more so the pandemic of everything going on, right? And how long is that going to last? Well, it lasts until we feel like it's safe enough for everybody to go back out, and we have a plan and structure in place, right, from a medical standpoint, and then that we see this virus kind of level itself out. Mm-hmm. When that happens, like, I think the floodgates are going to open, and so yes, that's when you're going to see the economy, and that's why I think so many people, like you and I were having this conversation, you were like, a buddy of mine called me and he's like, I'm dumping so much money into the stock market right now. That person
mm-hmm.
is really wise. And he's wise because while everybody else is freaking out, he's seizing an opportunity and saying, the Dow's low, these other stocks are really low, I'm going to go invest and throw all of my money that I have at it because I know that eventually when this is over in the next couple of months, it's going to pick right back up and it's going to start rising, and then that's where you make your money in the stock market. Not that I'm a fan of or supportive of the stock market, but that's just the reality. Like that's what all the experts are telling us and saying. Like, you don't buy when everybody else is buying. You buy when everybody else sells or when everybody else is freaking out.
Exactly.
And so that's the truth. Like, that's statistically what we see and why a lot of these successful investors make a lot of money because they have the amount of funds and they have the resources and the money to go invest in times like these.
See the opportunity.
And then they seize that opportunity.
And be patient.
Yep. So again, that's what I was just basically sharing last night. Like, I'll share this story again about being prepared versus scared. Like I've realized for the last year that like our website isn't the greatest, right? But like I wasn't gonna go like drop thousands of dollars into a website that I, one, didn't have money for at the time, and two, couldn't just like go throw it on a credit card and go into more debt, right? So I was like, I know what I need, I know how much it's gonna be, so I'm gonna start planning and putting some money aside. And when I finally got that money aside, boom, I made the phone call. I actually made the phone call like 2 weeks ago. In the midst of all this stuff, where a lot of people would be like, I don't know, bro, you should probably wait. I just dropped thousands of dollars with a professional to go custom build a website for us that he's currently working on.
Nice.
Why do I share that? Not to like boast or anything like that, but like I'm seizing the opportunity. I know that now's the time for us to grow, plan, and prepare to set ourselves to be apart from the competition when this thing gets over with and everybody floods the market again. And so I want to be prepared that we now have a website in place where when people are starting to go search again, boom, we're being one of those people that are showing up and directing them to that point. So I could be scared and be like, maybe I should wait this out.
Look at how sly Ryan was there.
I'm like, no.
Just teasing his website like it's no big deal. Oh yeah, we got a new website coming.
Oh, stop it.
I'm actually excited. That's good info for me. Even though that's exciting. We are definitely excited to see that. You better, throw some photos or something up on some previews. When you get them, so people can kind of keep in contact and see how that all looks once it gets all finalized. That's definitely cool.
Yep. Another example. Met with one of my agents that's going to be joining the team who also does a lot of marketing stuff and has a lot of knowledge there. I met with her yesterday and I'm like, hey, here's some things that I'd like to have done and that I would need some help on, and got her to start working on those things. Like, I'm literally like paying money in this time towards people to go start working on projects that I know have to get done that I didn't have time for before, right? Like, or I did, I just didn't seize the opportunity, where now I'm like, take advantage of this time. Like
that actually, thank you for saying that, because there comes another silver lining and brings me to another point, guys. I know a lot of my friends, and even myself, we were talking about restaurants before and stuff. I've been getting bored. I don't know about you guys, but last couple days, working from home mainly, get into the evening time, and it's like normally I'd be going to the gym, or I'd be going out to eat if it's the day calls for it or whatever. And without having those opportunities, I'm like, man, what am I? Dang, I'm bored. Like, you can only watch so much Netflix. I love Netflix, but you can only watch so much Netflix. So it's like, what are we going to do? So Rachel and I are like, hey, let's do a puzzle. Let's do this. Like, just trying to break up the monotony a little bit. Do something that, maybe not necessarily challenges us, but is different, and then allows us to continue to connect and keep ourselves busy and engaged and things like that. So I think there's going to be a lot of that as well. A lot of time where people don't know what to do with this extra time, because normally you'd be, doing your work, or you'd be going to the gym or going out to eat or something like that. Find something that you're passionate about that you haven't had time to pour into. Take this opportunity. Maybe it's reading books or something like that you put off, or working out at home, or working on some craft, or maybe a new business idea even. Whatever that is, pour yourself into it, because, what else are you going to be doing? Sitting and watching Netflix? Ozarks doesn't come out until the end of the month, y'all. Believe me, I'm thinking about it too, but we got a long way to go there. So,
I have no clue what you're talking about.
99% of the people watching do, though. But yeah, so, there's going to be those opportunities, and I would say try to figure out what that thing is. Don't give yourself any more excuses. You've already given yourself plenty of those. We all do. So, find that thing, jump into it, start finding some new passions, discover some things, and maybe we come out of all this at the end and like, oh man, I'm so glad I took that extra time to develop myself in that new way, or work on that business idea or that marketing idea or whatever it is.
Yeah, and I think that's, another thing that I was somewhat talking about last night. Just like thinking about how many people that I've talked to, that sit there and share that they got this idea, or they have, I do this a lot. Like, I have an app idea, that I've shared with some people, but I haven't like put that into action, right? Like, I haven't taken the next step to go implement that idea. And now's the time to start implementing that idea and start creatively finding ways and fine-tuning it to where it finally can maybe be into fruition. And
an app idea.
I know.
Have we talked about it?
No, we haven't, and I'm not sharing it right now.
Oh, well, okay.
So basically, but my point is this, how many times in our lives do we sit there and think about different things and things that we want to do and things that we're passionate about and all these things, and then we never fulfill those things. We just kind of sit around and think about it, and it's like, oh yeah, that's a great idea. Or you might be that person that's sitting there watching TV or something somewhere along the lines in the future, and you're like, that was my idea.
Yeah,
right?
that's
Somebody
the
else,
worst.
somebody else
the
ran
worst.
with your idea because you didn't put it in action. And so I think now is the time, we talked about this, we're talking about it within our network of coaching and with our students and within, masterminds and Rethink that I'm on, is that, now's the time to literally take advantage of branding yourself and putting yourself out there and giving some information to the people, because right now what they need is they need some reassurance of just where we're headed. And so as we tap into, the experts and looking at statistics and watching the other people that are predicting certain things, we need to be sharing that with you guys. And so that's what we're doing, we don't have all the answers. We can't sit here and say that this is exactly what's going to happen. But what we can tell you is, well, if we look back at past, and what we do with the past is we learn from it, right?
Yep.
We take what we've seen in the past, and now we tell you what we can think that this next thing is going to happen. I don't know the answer to, and I can't tell you 100% and put a guarantee, but I can tell you that we've done the research and we've done enough to where we can say, I'm pretty confident in saying and using the snow analogy. And I think it makes sense, and it goes with what's happened in the past. It goes with what we can predict of happening. This virus, just like any other virus, is a virus. And so they come and go, right? There's always going to be a new virus. This one's a little bit more, I would say, challenging, difficult. We've never seen something like this, but we've got enough smart people that are going to figure it out. And once we do, then we're going to look back on this years from now and go, man, that time kind of sucked, but now the coronavirus, nobody even talks about it anymore, right? And so that's the thing. Again, Jared James, my coach, has been telling me that, and me and a lot of others this lately, and he's like, just turn the news off, because the more and more news that you're going to continue to watch, the more depressed you're going to get, the more negative it feels like.
Very true, guys.
And it's just turn the TV off, turn Netflix off. They're having issues streaming right now anyways, so I don't know why you're watching Netflix, because the whole world is. But that's why there's going to be a separation of like people that are great and people that are average, because after this is all said and done, you're going to know who was great, and then you're going to know who was average, because those that are great are taking this time and taking the opportunity to do something with this time, and the people that are average are the ones sitting at home watching Netflix. Sorry, I just called you out, but
me too.
I'm just being real. Like, you know, if you're sitting at home just watching TV, like I just feel like that is a huge waste of time. And you know, like Vanessa, my wife, has been giving me a hard time because she's like, you've been staying up late like a lot lately, and I'm like, yeah, I've got a lot of stuff to do, and I've got plans for our future and what we're doing with Potter Real Estate, and like there's things that have to get done, as well as things that are going on still in my business that I'm like staying up and working on. So like, yes, but I don't want to sit at home late at night watching TV until midnight and then like go to bed and wake up and start all over again. Like, I don't need that. I've had enough of that in my life. So like, now is there a time for it? Sure, but like that's not gonna be me.
We all need that decompression, Ryan.
Okay.
No, I'm with you.
Whatever
bro.
makes you feel better.
I'm with you, bro. It is. It's like, you know, what we were talking about before is like, you can only watch so much of that, y'all, and where it's fun, and I love that decompression time too, and hanging with my spouse and just kind of watching movies or TV, that's fantastic. But it gets old after a while, and it's like you got to do something to challenge yourself, do something to you know, keep your mind focused and engaged. And I think that you're going to find that from, you know, some creative outlet, whether that's business plans or, you know, building something, craft, whatever it is, whatever your thing is, writing that novel or whatever, you know, creating that podcast, whatever it might be. So figure it out for yourself. Go for it. There's no more excuses. You know, why not?
That's right. No more excuses, everybody.
Y'all.
So here's the deal. Levi and I want to be available to you. I will say even last night, thank you so much for all the kind text messages and comments and stuff from my video. I realized that there's probably more, you know, inspirational / educational videos I need to be doing to just keep you up to date and encourage and inspire during this time, so I will try to do that. But if there's a specific topic that you want us to cover, let us know. Like, we're more than happy to do it. Again, we have a little bit more time. So we'd be more than happy to do something like that, even if we have to like Zoom or do something like that, like video.
Well, that's the other thing too, guys. We were going to do an episode of Access Omaha today, but our guests unfortunately had to cancel, just, you know, with some of their social distancing and things that they're trying to practice for themselves. So, you know, being respectful of that, but also wanting to still bring you guys some cool information, we decided, hey, let's just go live and kind of throw some thoughts out there and see if we get any feedback from people. And, you know, hopefully it's something that was valuable to you. But if there is something else that you're curious of, questions, thoughts, concerns, or a topic that you want us to hit on, let us know, because we'd definitely be happy to do that for you. Yeah.
And again, Dave Ramsey quote. I got Dave Ramsey quote that was from yesterday that I read, and he said, you know, along with every storm comes the calmness and the calm. And so, like, yes, we're in the storm right now, but the calm is coming. And then he's like, prepare, you know. And so it's just, again, it's like, prepare for that. You know, we're in it, realize that, and then we're going to push through it. So I want that to be an encouragement for you guys to know that, you know, all is well. I think, you know, at the end of the day, when this is all said and done, you know, we're going to be stronger, we're going to be better. And it almost feels like, you know, like a hurricane, like that kind of like natural disaster where it's just like, oh, the whole country feels it, and then it's like, boom, we regroup, we get back together, we help the community, and then it's more prosperous than it was before. So I truly believe that's what's going to happen. So yeah, I'm excited, but again, if you're not one preparing and you're just being scared right now, like I want to challenge you to change that mindset and be more prepared and seize the opportunities that are in front of you. So with that being said, peace out, guys. Have a great one. We'll talk to you soon.